Well, hello. Welcome to another Tech Tips 411 PD session. I'm super excited today to talk to you about awesome assessment tools. Today is going to be all about the fun tools you can use to engage your learners. So if you're here, tuning in live, let me know in the chat that you're here. Drop a comment. And if you have any questions, please let me know as well. So welcome to Awesome Assessment Tools. If this is the first time you've stumbled across one of my videos or live streams, my name is Jennifer Hall and I'm an educational technology specialist here in Atlanta, and that means my job is to provide technology training and support for teachers to best integrate technology in their standards-based lessons. So super excited to share with you today a number of different tools and talk about ways you might want to use them with your students. So our goals for our time today are that we're going to explore the features of game-based assessment tools, and hopefully you're going to gain ideas for using assessment tools to engage your diverse learners. And lastly, learn tips for using game-based assessments for synchronous and asynchronous learning. So that is the session goals for today. So again, if you are joining me live, let me know so I know you're here. And if you're watching from the future, thank you so much for your time. So the first question here is going to be, why game-based learning and how you might want to integrate it into your lessons? Because if we talk about the flow of a lesson and things that you're doing, game-based learning and assessments can be used throughout the lesson progression and as homework and extension activities. So you can use it as that hook or starter at the beginning of a unit, the beginning of a lesson. It's great for direct instruction. Some of the tools we're going to talk about you can actually use. Hello, thanks for being here. So you can use the tools in direct instruction, and we'll talk about different ways that you might use it, but also for whole group activities, small group tasks, independent tasks, differentiated assessment. We'll talk about a couple of ways you can take one tool and use it for differentiated learning opportunities for your students. Great for an exit ticket, and also how you can use some of these tools for homework or extension activities. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. So the first tool I'm going to talk about when we talk about game-based assessments, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Kahoot, because kind of Kahoot really is where it started for me. When I first started in my role as an ed tech specialist, I remember the first time I played a Kahoot. I was at a training and what is this absolutely magical opportunity for me? I'm a competitive person. This is awesome. Scoring points, we're competing, and the music, all of that is magical. So let's talk about Kahoot first here. So what's great about Kahoot is that you can go in and you can discover and use assessments. You don't have to start from scratch. So going to Kahoot, they're just like many of the tools now, and I'm going to point out that a number of them have the free version, and they're freemium tools, which means there's free, and then there's the upgrade option. So you can get your free version, which most people are using right now for teachers. I just want to point out that it does allow you to have live class Kahoots. You do get student-paced challenges. You get class-size Kahoots, and you can have up to 100 players. Now, if you want to have more than that, so if you were doing like this as a large team activity or things like that, you're going to want to look at upgrading, because there's you can get up to 2,000 people for the Kahoot Premium option. You are going to have access to the ready to use Kahoots and their question bank and create your own. But as you can see, as you pay and you upgrade, you have a couple of options that are extra, including some question types that you otherwise might not have had. So for the free version, you can do multiple choice, which most teachers are using that anyway. Images as answers, so that's great for your learners if you need to use images for language learning. And you can use a slide option. Unfortunately, some of the other cool features are the ones that are the upgrade, like the poll, puzzle activity, image reveal, typing in an answer. So if you do want to have that ability to do some extra, higher level questions and stuff like that, you would need to upgrade. But for the most part, if you're using this for just a hook, using it just, for a quick review, and you're using multiple choice questions, Kahoot is the way to go, and the free version is going to work great. So if you've never used Kahoot, I'd be surprised if anyone said they've never played a Kahoot. I'm pretty sure everybody has. In fact, during the pandemic and part of the virtual connecting with my family, I even got them to play Kahoot so that we could just connect virtually. So I think a lot of people were doing that during the during that virtual time. So you can go up here and you can search under Discover, and so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So you can actually search by content area: math, science, English language arts, social studies, general knowledge, literature, history. So you could actually do a search for, I'm a big fan of Shakespeare, so I want to look to see what Shakespeare ones they have. And as you can see, they have quite a few of them. Now, the premium ones are now available where they're actually been vetted and they've been approved and they're actually created by Kahoot. You'll see that those are available as well. But I can choose any of these. I can choose and take a look at it. I can preview it to see, all right, do I like the questions? Do I want to adjust the timing? And got it. It's giving me some updates because they've rolled out some new features. Now, Kahoot, when it first came out, it was one of those tools that you saw the questions on the interactive board or on the projector, and then you had to ring in on your device, and you'd have to look at the color-coded squares and tap that and then ring in. But they've actually added the ability to see the questions on your device. So that's a new feature if you have not used Kahoot in a while. So if I go in here, I can choose to edit this if I want, because maybe there's a couple questions that I'm not really loving, or this is more questions that I want. I can do that, and I can choose to play it live, or I could go ahead or choose to edit it if I want. If I want to create one from scratch, I can start with a new Kahoot, and then they even have some templates for the pro version. So if I want to just create it, notice I can add media here, I can add in questions, I can add in images for those answer choices. And I can set my time limit, which is great. So we're talking about differentiated assessments. You can actually now assign these as homework. So what you can do is create your on-level one. And so when we talk about creating that, the on-level, so we start here in the middle. We always know that that's the best way to do that. And then you can make a copy of that assessment and then adjust it for time or turn the time off for your diverse learners. So you could actually have one Kahoot that you've duplicated and have it for 3 levels of students. So something you can do here. So I can type in my questions. I can even go to the question bank and search for questions that I want to look for. All right. And I can look for these, and I can actually grab any questions and add them to mine. So let's see here. Did Shakespeare attend a university? That'd be a no. When did he die? So I can scroll through here. Just because this is a funny question. Who is Shakespeare? A German philosopher, an Irish rugby player, an English playwright, or an Australian that goes to the beach? Okay, just because that's funny, if you wanted to do that as a entertaining hook right here. Yeah. I agree. Yes, creating your own is awesome if you have specific content that you want to make sure you go over. But oftentimes you can search here and find just about anything that you need. All right. So that's Kahoot, and we can go in here and we can play one live, and then we can take a look at some data. And I will point out that how the data works now, so I'm going to exit this right here, okay, that I can go to my reports, and you don't get nearly as much data for the free version, just a heads up there. So if you're looking for more data, you might want to upgrade, but for overall, I can take a look here and I can see that I had this most recent one. I can see how long we played, how many questions I asked, how many players were in there. Take a look at the questions, see how people responded. There's that option. Now I can also go to the report options here and download this report. So the way you get more detailed data is actually to download it as a spreadsheet. You're going to get some more information that way. The live dashboard is an upgraded feature of Kahoot. So let me know in the comments, how many of you are Kahooters? How many of you love using Kahoot with your students? Just curious. Again, there are several levels with different features, but to get started, the basic free does give you good enough options for you to be able to use it with your students to engage your learners. So that was tool number 1, Kahoot. Again, could not talk about Kahoot when we're talking about game-based assessment. All right, next up, let's talk about quizzes. So how many of you have used quizzes? Let me know in the comments if you are a quizzes fan. So when quizzes first came out, yes, Juan, you love using it with adult learners and PD sessions. That's a great way to use it. I often use all of these tools in my PDs when I'm working with adult learners, because then I can model how it's going to work with students, because that's the best way. Teachers, they get that, there's that buy-in when you're like, oh, I can experience this. This is fun. I like it. So when quizzes came out, I kind of considered quizzes like Kahoot on steroids. The idea that it had a lot of the fun game-based features of Kahoot, but it now had the ability, at the time when it first came out, it had the questions on your own device, and you could actually be working at your own pace. So what's interesting about quizzes is the fact that, so I'm going to hop over here and let's take a look at quizzes. All right. And so how quizzes work, same thing. I can go in here and I can search. Now, and I should have mentioned this about Kahoot in case someone has not played it. Anytime you want anyone to join most of these games, you're just going to give students a join code. You can also copy the link and push it directly into your Google Classroom or Microsoft Team if you want. So I can go in here and search by topic, and you'll see there's recommended ones here. I can search by categories here. So I've got mathematics, I've got English, social studies, world languages, science. So it's got them already kind of organized by content area. But if I'm searching again, let's see if I want something on Shakespeare again. Can you tell I'm a former language arts teacher? I can't help myself. So I can see that there's tons of options here. And let's see here, let's go this first one here. It's got 10 questions. I can see what grade level it's geared towards, how many times it's been played. And I might want to grab this one right here. And I can start this as a live quiz, or I can assign it for homework. So if I start it as a live quiz, I can go classic, which means that students are on their device, they're moving at their own pace, but I've started the game at the same time. I love this option that there's an instructor-paced option. So now I can use this for instruction. So I can start it, we can go through questions, and now because it's pausable, because it's going to stop after each question, I'm the one directing it. This is a really great option to use it for that teaching piece in a whole group setting. Now, if I do want to assign it for homework, I can set the deadline for how long students have to do it. So maybe they must do it by 7 o'clock on Wednesday. I can also say no deadline, which is a nice new feature, because before it always gave you a deadline and then it would expire. So when I was trying to do PDs and have to have this accessible all the time, I love that it doesn't have to, it doesn't technically expire, but it says 6 months. I mean, so technically you could have one open and be using it and reusing it to get data from your students throughout a unit and not worry about that deadline, which is really cool. I have some options here. So I can choose how many attempts they can have. So now this becomes that reteaching opportunity. So do you get one chance to look at it, and that's it? Or do you get the reteaching opportunity for students so they can actually go through it again? Because I think that repetition actually helps them with, if you see the question again, you do better. And oftentimes it's just, I don't know about you, but if you're really excited to start clicking through it, technically you might have clicked on the wrong answer in the first place anyway. So I can choose unlimited, or how many times they can choose. Show answers during the activity, on or off. So again, there's that reteaching opportunity within the tool. Okay. I can choose whether or not they have power-ups, which is some games, showing the leaderboard so they can see where they rank. And we know that our students are extremely competitive oftentimes, but you also know your students a little bit better than anyone else. And so you might know that there are some students that don't like that. And so that's the opportunity to maybe you share out the one that allows the leaderboard and allows them to compete, might go out to those students, and then you might share out the same assessment, make a duplicate of it, and say, hey, this is going to be for my students that I know that adds to frustration, that adds to stress. You're diverse learners, you want to make sure that they feel successful, so you could turn that off. You can also shuffle the questions, which is really good, so that if they are playing live with you, now that we're getting back to face-to-face in the beginning of the year, that shuffling the questions mean that they can't do that quick glance over to their neighbors and take a look at their answers. You can also shuffle the answer options. You're going to still get that data, but it's just going to shuffle it up here, which is pretty cool. You can turn off music, show memes. So this is where That is fantastic. Good to see you, my friend Sandra. So that you got in Croatia, there was like 120 folks that went to a Quizzes webinar. Yeah, there's just so much functionality in Quizzes that I think is really powerful. So what sets Quizzes apart from Kahoot is, to me, the memes, which are pretty hilarious. So you can actually use the memes that are built in there, which kind of reinforces for students when they get the questions right or wrong. And you can even make your own custom memes. And I think that's a neat way to engage your learners as well, by being able to upload your own. Like, I use Genmojis, of course, so I filled mine with little Genmojis ones so that when you play mine, you get different Genmojis. But you can also upload ones that are content specific. So maybe you have memes about historical characters, characters from literature, or historical people, or scientists for science. It would just be a great way to level up the way you're using Quizzes. So then I can assign this, and when I go to assign it, I'm going to get some information here, so I can now grab this right here. And this works for most of the tools we're going to be talking about today. They can go to this address, use this code right here, but now I can share a link, push it to Google Classroom, push it to Microsoft Teams. Canvas is, if you have a Canvas district plan and you have a Kahoot, a Quizzes district plan, you can push it there as well as Schoology. So that's good to know if you're using one of those other LMSs. But obviously you can push right to Teams and right to Classroom, which is really cool. So then I can now watch my data come in. So I will point out that there's the free version of Quizzes, which allows you at this point to have access to, I think it's 5 activities, and you can have 3 classes, but you can upgrade here. They got a special going on right now, which gives you more features, what they call Quizzes Super, and you can even do an annual subscription. So you will get a lot more access to quizzes that they have available. You also have the ability to add in interactive video and audio clips, which then levels up those assessments. And it takes out ads and any pop-ups or anything. And you have just some more customizable features. If you want to upgrade to Quizzes, you can use, again, the original free one. There's some functionality there, but if you want to have more advanced features, there is a pay option. Now, I've talking to different teachers that have been working with these different tools. You know, sometimes it's like, it's worth that, whatever, $4 or $5 out of your pocket. You know, obviously you don't want to invest in every single one of these tools. You want to pick one. Maybe try out the free versions to see what your students like, and then if you wanted to invest in one, you might want to have a subscription to one of these tools so that you have all of the bells and whistles. So just a tip there. All right, so my Quizzes fans, I see lots of folks are kind of excited about using Quizzes. Let's talk about the next tool, and I think this one might not be as well known. But when I used to call it, this was the trifecta when I was doing lessons, and when I would do my Shakespeare film project and I would go in and do mini lessons with my students, each lesson I would do a different assessment. So students were exposed to multiple lessons, or multiple different types of assessments. So I would do a Kahoot the first time, and then I would do a Quizzes, and then I would do a Quizlize, and that would allow students to have access to different types of tools, and then my teachers would get to experience different tools as well, and it would kind of inspire them to try other new tools. So Quizlize, let's talk about Quizlize. What's cool about Quizlize is it has a lot of data that you can access through here. So this is a Macbeth quiz that I put together based on the reading of Macbeth and from the text that they had read, and I'm able to review my activities, and I can actually create classes in here and push those out. So I do want to point out that there is the free version for Quizlize. There's your up to 3 classes, 5 activities under free, and you get to see kind of a preview of the mastery board. But as you move up with the options, you actually can get a premium account for teachers or departments, which will allow you to have unlimited activities, unlimited classes, and so forth. So again, I'm of the mindset that all of these are opportunities just to try different tools. And even if you do breaking up in a unit, you might use Kahoot for one unit, and then you might for another unit or another lesson. Just varying the tools obviously engages learners a little bit as well. So I can create multiple questions here. I'm going to go back here. I can search by, here's the spotlight for math, science, English, language arts. So there's, again, content specific ones. I can search for ones. So let's see what we got for Shakespeare. I can see the different ones that are available that I might want to use. I can play this quiz. I can start it as a class game. I can give it as homework. This is kind of a bonus if you are going old school analog and you want to print a bubble sheet for students to see it on the screen and then actually fill out a bubble sheet. If you have students that don't have devices, this is a great opportunity if you still want to be able to use that assessment. I can go in here and edit this if I want. If I choose to give as homework, I can choose which class it goes to, the date that it's available. Mastery modes means that it will only end, this is a nice feature, only end once they get all the questions right. So another opportunity to reinforce learning for your students. You can turn on and off music and sounds. You can show a timer for each question. Again, that's one of those things that maybe it's going to work for some of your learners. People that they get pushed by time, the clock ticking away, that might work. But if you also have other students, or you have students that are on, special ed students that need extended time, obviously you can turn that off. You can also choose the number of attempts on this one as well. This one gives you way more attempts. I think the other one gave up to like 5 or unlimited. Those were your 2 options. So maybe the magic number is 7 attempts. Maybe that's what you've decided. You can say number of questions. This is a nice option here as well, is that I can go in here and say, I want you to only do, maybe it's a 30 question Kahoot, or excuse me, a 30 question Quizlize, and then you want them to get only 10 of those questions. Yeah. So, awesome, awesome, awesome. So here we go. I've got the ability to create from scratch. I can add questions. This is a nice option here. I can import from a spreadsheet, and I can also import from Quizlet. So that means I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can also borrow it from somewhere. So maybe you've already got this old school spreadsheet of your assessments and you don't have to type and copy them in. I love that you can actually do that. It also allows for that standards alignment. So for Quizlize, you're going to get a lot of standards-based data if you align it to those standards, okay? I see here at Quizlize, I will try this one. Yeah, it's a new, it's been around for a while, but again, most people talk about Kahoot and quizzes, and I think that when I was first introduced to a lot of these tools, it was the third in the trifecta. And we're going to talk about another one that's just kind of been a game changer for game-based learning. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? So we've talked about a couple of tools right there. Lots of cool features in those 3 tools, but let's talk about one more. And that would be Gemkit. And this was the game changer right here. When Gemkit came out, I was just blown away with the functionality of this particular tool for assessing students' learning. And I'm going to log back in here. It logged me out here earlier. That's all right. We're going to get right back in. So Gemkit was actually, a little backstory here, was created by a student in high school who was tired of playing Kahoots because that's what their teacher was using. And it was like, yeah, that's fun and all, but I'd like to play this game. And so actually created the type of game-based activity that he wanted to have, which to me, that's amazing. So with Gemkit, you can create a couple kits for free. Now they've gone to a limitation on it because, again, most of these tools obviously can't be free, but they're freemium. They let you try them out, and then for you to be able to really get the robust features on them, there is a fee to upgrade. So right now you can get, I want to take a look here. So you can have, there's Gemkit Live and Gemkit Inc., which is a creation and publishing tool. It's a new thing. And you get them both for the price of one, and it's $4.99 a month. So I always tell my teachers that it's just one less Starbucks trip if this is going to be something that's going to be useful for you to use with your students. So how Gemkit works is that you can actually create your kit, and I'm going to go up here and just kind of give you a look at this one right here. So you can choose your mode. We have classic, team mode, draw that, the floor is lava. So this is where kids really like Gemkit, is that they add in all these fun game modes. This one right here went nuts during the time that the Avengers movie came out. They have this infinity mode, and you had to gather the infinity stones. So that's come back. As you can see, there's humans versus zombies. So there's all these different modes of the game. So it's not just we're all playing together. There's different competitions. Okay, so I might choose that we're going to go with, we'll just go classic. So when I do that, I can choose, do I want it to be based on time? Do I want it to be race? Does it be all in? So the difference between here is Kahoot, quizzes, and Quizlize, you're earning points. You're competing against teams. There's, like Quizlize, it's like there's actually a leaderboard and you're automatically put on teams and you're competing against each other. Now here, all of your money starts together and it goes into one pot. So you can set how much money students are going to have. Are they going to check the answers, music, clapping, all that kind of stuff, settings here. But what's really cool is that because you can set it for time, this is a great ending activity for the day. So if you're at the end of your lesson and you've got that, the extra 5-7 minutes at the end of class and you just want to, check in, you can use this and you can create a kit that has maybe 50, 60 questions and just set it for time. So over a course of a couple of days, they'll actually engage in the same assessment, but they'll get different questions. And what's cool about Gemkit is it automatically gives you the questions over and over because that repetition is going to reinforce your learning. So I can, set these up. I can choose my theme. I can power up, and that's where kids really love that they're earning money and they can use the money to buy from the store and buy power-ups and things like that. So to me, it also has an extra layer of teaching some economics and some budgeting and spending and all of that in terms of, so you've earned X number of points. Do you want to spend it all now to get the power up, or do you want to save it a little bit and see if you can have more to spend later on? So that's kind of cool. So you can assign these for homework. Now, right now, because Gemkit Basic only allows for 5 players to go live, I would need to upgrade. So right now, that is one of the limitations. But again, you could use it in a small group setting to go live with your students, just to try it out. So I had to point out Gemkit just because so many kids are loving it, and the fact that you can change, they're always adding new features and new game modes. Now, if I did choose to, let me go back here. We're gonna close that one. And instead of going live, if I wanted to assign this for homework, that again is an upgraded option. So just letting you know that that's the way it works. So right now they give you a little taster of it, but I've had lots of teachers tell me that their students absolutely love Gemkit. So there we go. All right. Moving along here. How are we feeling? Lots of tools to talk about. Still got a couple more. The next one, this is kind of the new kid on the block, and this is a newer one to me. But I'm hearing such great things, and that this is like the new phase. So let me know if you have used BlueKit with your learners. So let's take a look at BlueKit. How BlueKit works is there is the free version. Free is my favorite price. The free lets you create and host games, and you even have some unique game modes, and you have a question set search so you can look for questions. And you can have unlimited sets and edits, which means that you're not limited to only so many that you can create, which is kind of cool. Now, if you upgrade for $2.99 per month, you can actually get some enhanced reports and you get access to some additional stuff. And then they even have a bonus where you're getting some more additional features. But what's nice is that you can get started for free and have access to most of the stuff you want to use to try with your students. So let's hop back over here. So I can actually have my sets, favorites, homework. I can go to history. I can search if I want to discover something. Guess what? I'm gonna just to be consistent, I'm gonna search for Shakespeare. And it's gonna be Moody right here. Hold on, refresh because I looked earlier to make sure that they had Shakespeare. And we're gonna log back in. I've taught you something new, my friend. You've never heard of BlueKit. Okay. All right. Good to know. So I can go up here and I want to join a game. So again, there's that code, the game ID, but you can also share via a link. And I want to go up here and search again. And again, I looked for Shakespeare just earlier. I double checked. But I might have too many tabs open, and so it's being a little moody. We're going to let it think for a second here. All right. So if you choose a game, I will point out that, uh-oh, did I disappear for a second? Uh-oh, the struggle is real. So when you pick a game, what's kind of cool is you now have the ability to choose one of these game modes. And this is the newest one, hot off the presses, which is the crypto hack, which I think is kind of hilarious. Since everybody's talking about cryptocurrency and hacking and all of that, but so they came up with a game that's aligned to that. They have Gold Rush. They have a Tower Defense, a Cafe. Now, if I click on it, it's going to tell me a little bit more about that game mode, and it's going to tell me this one should have at least 30 players. Player limit is 60 on the free version, and it's about speed and luck on this one. If I go to the Crypto Hack, the new one, it's speed and insight, limit at 60, 3 players at least suggested, so that because you're battling against each other and trying to hack one another. So what's interesting is that 60 is the limit on the free version, but that's perfect for a class setting, or even if you were to partner 2 classes together for an activity. Tower Defense is strategy and accuracy, so it tells you how many players you need to have, and then it will tell you whether or not, if you'll notice, homework or host. I could choose to make this as a homework assignment, or I can host it as a live activity. Now, there's some that are only geared towards homework assignments, which is good to know. So I can choose that if I want to assign it for homework, and this is unlimited, and it's about strategy and accuracy. I can choose the date, the hour, the minute, give it a title if I want. Okay, I can put what the goal is for each one of these, and I can say assign this now as homework. It's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. I'll go back out. I want my Shakespeare question to come back up, and I think I'm going to go back out of it. I had all my stuff open, ready to go, and it decided to be. Uh-oh. Seriously? I don't think y'all there. Can you see what it just said? This app is undergoing maintenance right now. Please check back later. Are you kidding me? Okay, the struggle is real when I'm trying to do a training and talk about BlueKit and share the goodness, and it just went dark on me. That's what the fun is of going live and doing this. So apparently BlueKit just went offline. We'll put a pin in it and we'll see if we can come back to it, all right? Because I did want to show you some stuff as well, but it's just a really cool assessment tool that I think you're going to like. So if you haven't checked it out, I'm hearing there's been lots of issues with the internet today. The internet is on the struggle bus. All right, I got a couple more I want to share with y'all, so we'll keep it moving. We can do that, but definitely check back with BlueKit and give it a try. So another one I wanted to share, which I think is kind of a fun way to work on vocabulary, is Pear Deck Flashcard Factory. Let me know in the comments if you've used Pear Deck's Flashcard Factory. So what's cool about the Flashcard Factory is that you actually create a list. You play the Flashcard Factory, which means your students are actually going to be paired up. So this is a great game activity, and they have to come up with a visual and written illustrations for the vocabulary. And then you ship it and you study it. So it's very much game-based. It might not work for your older students, but you never know. So even the high schoolers sometimes want to play a kid-like game. But what's cool is I can go here and create a vocabulary list. So I started my list here, and I started with democracy, I got vote, I got government. So if I'm going to write law, I can type in the word, and then I can go to definitions, and it's going to automatically, without me having to hunt for definitions, it's actually going to give me some suggestions, and it's going to give me suggestions that might be age appropriate for you. So your younger learners, not as verbose of a definition or harder vocabulary. The state or order brought about by observance and enforcement of laws. That's like, okay, that we have a body of such rules and customs and a conduct or action established by custom. So if I'm talking about it with younger learners, I might go with this option. So I can add in multiple ones. The other cool thing is you can import these. You can import a list that you've created in an Excel spreadsheet, so you have to reinvent the wheel if you want. So once I've got a couple of words in here, then I can choose to say, let's play Flashcard Factory. So I've just got 4 terms in here right now. So magic is happening. Like any other Pear Deck lesson, it's going to actually say, make sure that it's visible. I'm going to project this. Okay, I'm in projector view. I'm going to pull this up. Students can join like you would any other Pear Deck lesson. And if you're not familiar with Pear Deck, you should definitely check it out for interactive lessons, but I'm focusing on this particular tool because it's separate from creating a lesson. You just use their flashcard or what they call their vocabulary tool. So let's clock in. And here's how it works is that when students join, they're automatically dropped on the day shift or the night shift. So they're automatically grouped and they're going to work in pairs. and you can even shuffle your team, so you can say, all right, nope, I see that those students can't work together. And this can all be done on their own individual devices, or when we get back to safe face-to-face learning, students can share a device and work together on this task, okay? So if I go to Let's Play, notice I've got my terms here, and as they drop down here, their students are going to draw the flashcard. So if the word is law, what is a visualization of the term law? And then they also are going to come up with their own definition. And then that's going to get dropped, and as that comes in here, I can preview those, and we can all decide and go, all right, let's take a look. What do you all think? Is that a good representation of that vocabulary? This is a really good way to engage learners in like ELA vocabulary and science vocabulary and math vocabulary, so that they can create those visualizations and come to a common language and common understanding of vocabulary. So as they drop through, you go into quality control, and this is where you actually will go through and evaluate them as a class and say, yes, this one makes the cut, this one does not. We need to work on it. And then shipping phase means it sends it back out for students to use it to study that vocabulary. So that is the vocabulary flashcard factory from Pear Deck. So let me know in the comments if you've used that before, or if that is all new for you. I'm just curious if you've used it before. It's just a neat tool to work on vocabulary. Again, it does bring in that creativity with the art piece and the ability to articulate their thinking and create visualizations. So again, let me know in the comments if you have used Pear Deck's Flashcard Factory before. All right. Let's go back and see if our BlueKit is come back. Maybe. Nope, still offline. Struggle is real. Well, technically, most people are out for summer, so they probably didn't think that they thought it was a good time. All right. So the last tool that I wanted to talk about is actually Google Forms. And you might be thinking, Jen, how can you use Google Forms for a game-based assessment? Well, the power of Google Forms is that you can create an assessment, you can turn it into a quiz by using the answer key option, and you can put in correct answers, and you can even provide answer feedback. So this is where you can actually so Sandra, you love Pear Deck, but you don't use the flashcards. Well, hopefully you're inspired to give those flashcards a try. And if you do, let me know. So I can go in here and provide answer feedback, and the ability to differentiate your assessment is if the question is, the answer is the response to the question, I can talk today, response to the question is correct, the feedback can be an extension activity. If the question is incorrect, then it can be an opportunity for reteaching, because you can add in a link to a video, whether it's a YouTube or linked to another resource for reteaching. And so you can actually create your quizzes inside of Google Form, that almost like a choose your own adventure. So if you get answer 1 right, it moves you to answer question 2. But if you didn't, you might go to another path. So you can actually create learning paths in Google Forms and get some great data. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you can create sections for assessments, and because it's a Google form, you can do the same thing in Microsoft Forms as well. You create the assessment initially with the answer feedback and those reteaching tools built into your assessment, and then you duplicate it for your on-level learners, your emerging learners, and your high flyers. So I always want to mention that it is kind of fun, and you can also use it to create digital breakouts. So you can actually set if I have a question, I can actually, let's go here, we'll do a new question. And if I said the question is a short answer, so it requires text, I can actually go in here and do response validation, which means that you have to put the exact text, it has to be the exact word in there, and it would unlock it. And it's a great way to engage students to be able to, they have to solve a problem, answer the question, and put the response into the form, and then it becomes a digital breakout. So I did want to point out that Google Forms is a great opportunity to use for game-based, self-paced, differentiated, as well as digital breakouts. Okay? All right, so we've talked about quite a few tools. I did want to point out, if you like to make old school games, Paula at Slidesmania, who is a design master and guru, has created a ton of game-based templates that you can use that are Google and will work in PowerPoint as well for you to make, again, some more game-based activities to use with your learners. So you should definitely check those out. They're pretty cool. So we've talked about different game-based tools, and the focus is, how you can get data, how you might want to use it as a hook for differentiated tasks, whole group tasks. We talked about ways that you can, some of the tools that you can actually use in that whole group instruction, and also those opportunities for reinforcement and self-paced learning. So we talked about Kahoot, we talked about quizzes, Gemkit, just a little bit about BlueKit before they went offline for us, and just talked about Google Forms. So there are so many more tools that are available. I could be talking for hours on all of the different options. So this is a Tech Tips 411 page that has all of my, there we go, I'm going to drop that in the chat there for you. So that takes you to all of the assessment tools. All of these link, let's go back here. All of these link to those different resources. So there's tons more that you might want to take a look at. And also, some of them are game-based, some of them are just performance assessment tools, others are interactive, like quiz features and different presentation tools, puzzle games, things like that. So you might want to take a look at those different assessment tools that you might not be familiar with, or you're just looking for another tool to add to your toolbox. All right. So the goals for our time today were to explore features of assessment tools, and hopefully I was able to cover some of those different features. Hopefully you gained some ideas for using assessment tools to engage your diverse learners, and learn tips for using game-based and other assessments for synchronous and asynchronous learning, because here in our district we're about to focus on next year a lot of personalized learning, and the idea of having an assessment tool that can be used whole class, small group, synchronously, asynchronously, as homework, as remediation, as extension. All of those features are really important as we plan for next school year. So if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to know. Please drop those comments in the chat or in the comments of this video, because I'd love to answer those. I am coming back and doing another live here in an hour and 16 minutes. So at 3 p.m. Eastern time, I'll be talking about video creation tools, all of my favorite tools. So if you can join me for that, please do. If you haven't already checked out resources at my website, techtips411.com, please do so. Tons of stuff on there. There's a search bar at the top, so if you're looking for a particular tool, please search for it, and hopefully I've got that resource available for you. If you haven't already done so, I'd love for you to sign up for my Tech Tips 411 weekly email, which will resume at the start of the new school year. The links to all of these things are in the video description, so if you're not already signed up, please do so. Last but not least, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, so you're notified of upcoming sessions that I'm going to be doing. And if you want, you can explore my mobile app, which has all of the goodness that's available on my website in the palm of your hand. So there we go. Tons and tons of resources right there. All right. On that note, if there's no other burning questions, I'm going to wrap this up. But I just want to say thank you all so very much for joining me for today's session. This has been a blast. Kind of bummed that we got blocked out of one of the tools. Didn't get to go all the way through it, but hopefully I was able to at least mention it for you so you could get there and get started with it. So thank you so much for tuning in for awesome assessment tools. Again, I will be back live here shortly talking about video creation tools. I got 2 more live streams this week, next Thursday. So please go ahead and subscribe so you can catch those. All right. Thank you all so very much, and I will see you on the next one.